Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forged Lines Forever. Today I have a 4v4 ladder match on the map Flooded Tabula Rasa, and it is a Navy map for the most part. So let's go ahead and introduce our players, starting with Team Red up here to the north and ending with Blue Team down here in the south. Let's start here in the northwest corner for Team 1. It is Valone going first land in Pac-Man Yellow as an Aeon. To his east here, we have Nasimka going first land in orange, the color orange, as a Seraphim. In the crimson red color, we have Dilly Dally going first land as a Cybern. And last but not least, on the other side of the map, we have in ruby red Per Aspera going first land as an Aeon as well. One team, one side of things, we have two Aeon, a Cybern, and a Seraphim. No UEF tech. Very surprising in a Navy map. Could have been random, but also just decided not to play UEF. And it does say in the comments that people are complaining about the map. And Ferv does say you can control K if you want. So already getting into a little bit of spiciness. And we will start with him on team 2. This is Ferv. He's going first land, second air as Tropical Ocean Blue as a UEF. To his west as a Cybern, we have the Tardlarts. The Tandlarts. I think I'd say that right. I'm going to call him D. He's going first land in Amethyst Purple, again as a Cybern. To the west, we have Isma Noob going first land in Royal Blue as a Cybern as well. And last but not least, on the west side of the map, we have Itch Salter, I think is how you say that. It's not I4 Salter. But I think I'll call him Itch Salter, Salter for short. He's going first land in Stitch Blue as a UEF. So on Team 2 side of things, we have two Cybern and two UEF, no Aeon and no Seraphim tech for Blue Team down here in the south. So let's go ahead and look at Reclaim as well, just to see how much is currently on the map left standing. 6,130 something is what I saw last. So probably about 6,500 mass on the map. It is a 10 by 10. It is pretty small. It is fairly tight. Only 2 points average per team. So about 8 points of rating between all 4 players. That is all 8 players. That is very big in terms of the average, of course, not between all of the players. The highest rated player on team 2 is the Tandlar. It's going at 1679. And on team 1 is Nasimka at 1663. Lowest ranked player in the game is Salter at 1264 and Per Aspera for Team 1 at 1281. We already have the comm of Dilly Dally in the middle of the map here, trying to get some early mexes. There aren't that many mexes on this map. There's a line of them here for both teams. There's like one exactly dead center of the map, and there's a couple in the corners with, I think, some... No, that's just geometry. I thought that was rocks. We have a bomber ahead to the west here for Velorone, and he is going for the early aggression here. Going to look for some engineers. Going to slow down a bit. Notices that engineer. We'll come back to it. Is going for this one, or even this one. Drops the bomb. Gets 5 engineers with that kill. That's an amazing bomber here for Velone at 3.5 minutes. Going to circle back and take that 6th engineer out, maybe even get a 7th. Misses it, unfortunately, but we'll start to do even more damage here. Another bomber here from Team 1 from Dilly Dally. Looks like maybe got a couple of engineers. There was a bomb that was landed, and maybe it did miss. But still the bomber to the west, still dealing lots of damage. Takes out another set of engineers, and there is an AA gun built. Maybe this will deter that bomber. It will, it looks like. But still, getting 10 kills for a bomber early on is that's a lot. That's a lot of kills, just straight up. But we have the comm of Dilly Dally literally walking down his opponent here of D. And D is just going to stand here and be like, why are you, like, fronting on me, man? Go away. And it does look like, I think there was a comment in chat a little bit ago. It says, reclaim their factory, says Dilly Dally. And I think he's just going to straight up reclaim the factory. What is going on here? I hardly see this early on. Less than 5 minutes. And the comm of Dilly Dally literally is reclaiming his opponent's factory. The D is, maybe we'll notice this. I don't know. It's dropping into the red. And this will be a reclaim successful. Gets all the mass, and D goes, hey, 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 where's my where's my factory? Hey, get back here. And they're facing each other. They're going to build a torpedo launcher to try to deter dilly-dally, and then build another of the T1 naval facilities. Dilly-dally gets out of the water, start attacking those engineers, then goes, okay, I should probably get out of here. That torpedo launcher will come online. Again, dilly-dally is retreating, so the gun will start turning and force him away. Maybe he'll go over here to the west and take out Esmo Noob's factory as well. Drop here to the east here from Team T's player or Ferv going for this upper plateau area, but there's already 2 AA guns and an Aurora nearby with no supporting units. So these will fall fairly quickly. That was a quick drop. It was just whoop and then on land. Get a T1 gun online. It's not going to be enough. Unit's going to try to come in and reclaim. Unfortunately, there's now 2 Aurora. That is enough to deal with this. Reclaim order was given, but it is not enough. Comms here for both teams. All of them in the water for Team 2, and 3 of the 4 of them for Team 1 in the water. Bar Bellerone in the main base here. And Bellerone and Ferv are the rearguard air slots here for Team 1 and for Team 2 respectively. So we're going to see a lot of buildup of air. Of course, it is a 10 by 10. So everyone's going to need everyone's effort. Everyone's going to need everyone on our teams are going to have some presence in the Navy just to combat this. It's very short distance between the main naval facilities for both teams. We're already seeing some bleeding from Team 1 into Team 2. A couple of frigates get here. We'll take out this front naval facility here for Salter, and in the back he has a additional one. But unfortunately, he is starting to suffer in position here. He's losing some early mexes as well to these T1 subs. Not going to say that name because I don't know how to say that name. Have a little cove area here for Team 1's player of Aspera. Very similar, of course, here to the west for Team 2 or blue team, but not really using it to great effect. To the west, both of the western and eastern little plateau areas have been claimed by Team 1. So Team 1 leading the mass game in terms of mass points, and you can even see that here. They're winning by 5 mass a second. Actually, now it's 3. It looks like Team 2 ecoing up as hard as they can to kind of combat this. A lot of the middle mexes do reside in Team 1's territory. They even have the middle one, and one of them that should be rightfully Team 2's, but they have come and claimed it for themselves. Asmonud trying to halt this aggression by reclaiming, and I think it's as long as the unit is in the range of the comm, it can still be reclaimed even if the unit moves around it. That's why the comm was facing one direction and the unit was another direction. Frigates come in to support but get killed off. Still, more and more units constantly trying to spill out of this eastern side here for Ferv, trying to assist the best he can. It does look like Team 1 is being a little bit more conservative with their comms now that Dilly Dally has returned from the front line, reclaiming the base, the facility here for DD. Probably being like, why? I mean, yeah, that's mass that he lost, but it's just when he walked his comm all the way over there, reclaimed it, and walked it all the way back. But, I mean, it does delay his opponent from building up facility to build naval units, so I guess that was the tech there. A battle group here to the west here for Team 1 from the Simca and Bellerone. Gonna pretty much punch Salter off of this position. There's a nice deep area here for comms to hide in, but and there is obviously one up here for Team 1. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one comm hide in here, maybe even back here. This is probably a second one. You can see the legs on these factories going all the way down versus, you know, this one right here that has really short, stubby legs. But trying to get some nice support there in the water. It does look like Salter will retreat to his mainland here. Air pressure starting to favor. It's kind of hard because 2 players are going air for both teams. So it's kind of hard to determine who is winning what. But it may reside with Team 1 just barely, especially with this air engagement not really going the way of Team 2. It is only interceptors, though. The main air fights will occur with T3 ASFs. But units here from Team 1, there are a lot of subs constantly pressuring D's position here. He is the highest ranked player in the game. That is going to be a focus here for Team 1. We even have a torpedo bomber, a cormorant, on its way to deal with something. Its bombs will drop. Actually, sorry, they're not bombs. Their torpedoes will drop. Interceptors will be called to deal with that, but I don't really think that's going to get any work done. It's only one of them. A couple of T1. I think these were these Zeus? No, they're Sinvis. I think it's going after the comm. Oh, maybe it's going after the torpedo launcher. It's not really worth it. Naval engagement here on the doorstep here for Team 2. And it looks like it is residing with Team 1 here. There's a lot of subs here. There's no destroyers in the mix for Team 2 to deal with this. Now we have D pumping out his own torpedoes to help assist in defense. Also going for that upgrade on his comm as well for the Sirens that have the torpedo launcher available to them. Not super powerful, but they do a lot. And T2 has been achieved for Dilly Dally, and he is producing these Barracudas. Lots of units constantly throwing torpedoes at this facility. Will it fall? It is in the yellow. It's trying to get hit points back as best it can. The launcher will stave off a lot of those other units and reinforcements here from his teammates to assist in that game as well. Counter torpedo launcher for Dilly Dally as well. Not that, again, it would have been a lot better had he had that when he walked against his opponent, but it's not really worth it. Let's see, who's going to finish first? 57, sorry, 57. I think torpedo launcher here for D will finish just slightly. He has more engineer support. It does look like Dilly Dally is doing it by his lonesome. Yeah, he's already in the 70s. So I honestly, at this stage in the game, with the style of game, getting an upgrade 30 seconds after your opponent isn't really that big of a deal. Or at least in this case, maybe a minute or so after your opponent isn't really that big of a deal, considering you have T2 Barracudas on the field and are pressuring your opponent severely. To the east, we have a T2 Air Factory here for Per Aspera. T2, of course, here for Dilly Dally. Not Team 2 yet for Velarone. Kind of surprising, but T2 Navy, T2 Navy. Is there a T2 Navy here at some point? Probably back here, right? Yeah, T2 Navy almost. And then probably T2 Navy. So all of Team 1 will have T2 Navy here pretty quickly. The comm of Ferv, he's deciding if he wants to pressure it. Decides to maybe, what is he doing? What are you doing? I don't know what's going on there. Torpedo comm says in the Simca. Yeah, well, I mean, he is cyber and you're in a water map. Kind of to be expected. There are some Barracudas going to push this eastern side. This is like Ferv will retreat. Does he see the threat incoming? Probably. Oh, he does see some threat incoming. And he will have to retreat here at some point. He's going to suffer a lot. He's only building frigates. Doesn't have T2 yet. No, we have T2 here for Esmonoob and T2 for Salter, but that is it. I feel like that's going to be starting to be a mismatch here. Team 2 lacking the naval technology to hold back Team 1. Team 1 going to start building some destroyers and probably cruisers, but in this type of game, where it's a, it's a 10 by 10. There's not a lot of Navy, but the Navy can pretty much hit almost everything, if not everything, on the opponent's side of the field. Though I feel like cruisers are going to be important, but destroyers are going to be even far more important to push back the enemy front line. And that's really going to much deter this game, or determine this game, is who controls the Navy in terms of the water. And once the water is achieved, that's pretty much game, unless the opponent can pull a trick out of a hat or a boat out of the water. But I guess the Siren can do that. So with their Salem's destroy, says Esmonoob. Don't know what that's about. The torpedo launcher from D does come in range to take out some of these subs. Let's see, it will shoot off a couple more, but there's incoming destroyers from the Salem's here from Team 1's player of Dilly Dally. Dilly Dally is not dilly dallying. And I had to make that joke at some point. I feel like everybody has watching probably thought the same joke at some point. Like, he's going to say it. I know he's going to say it. And now I said it at 14 minutes. But D is being assaulted by some torpedoes. Going to go after the Salem. It does, shoot off some of his own torpedo defenses. And now Dilly Dally is going after the comm of D quite severely now. D is pretty much sub 5,000, sub 4,000, and there's too many torpedoes here. and it's just will not go his way. Sub 2000, sub 1000, kaboom. That is the first kill of the game. And that's going to drop this game from a 4v3, sorry, from a 4v4 to a 4v3 in favor of Team 1. Tandlarts was the highest rated player in the game. This will go over to Ferv, the second highest rated player of Team 2. That'll boost up his eco quite significantly. He's the first one over 100, just obviously he's on 2 bases. And that will also give him access to T2 tech, definitely kind of jump starting him because he doesn't have anything in the UEF side of things. Again, we are seeing a little bit more pressure and prominence for Team 1 in the naval side of things. A lot of the Salems and frigates going to start pushing southward. There's only, I think, 1 frigate here for Team 2. So not really a whole lot of firepower in the water as of right now. But that can always change, of course, because all you got to do is hold out, build some maybe Neptunes here for Team 2 or Galaxy-class destroyers, Galaxy-class battleships here for Esmo or Ferv. Now he access to the Cybran technology. But another push to the east will occur, and he's already being pushed here, pretty much being pushed out. Essentially has no assisting units here for this factory. It's only 1 torpedo bomber, and there's even a T2 bomber flying over the top, dealing some damage to the facility or to whatever else was in the water. These units were killed off, but I don't think it's going to last fairly long. There are a decent group of T2 torpedo launchers here from Ferv. Kind of surprised he hasn't gone after these destroyers. There is a swift win here. One's not really going to matter a whole lot, but losing mass second by second is not going to help either. 2 versus 1 scenario here for the Salems. Only going to go one way, especially if the Salem does not move. Here for Ferv. More Salems to the west here for Team 2, being assisted by shield boats. The Bulwarks, very, very powerful ships here. And this might help Team 2 stave off incoming firepower. Bunch of torpedoes going after more of those Exus-class destroyers to the east. Not a whole lot of them land, but they do drop that 1 destroyer into the yellow. There is a lot of torpedo defenses here for the destroyers for, you know, all factions. So torpedoes are kind of less effective, but they are still effective nonetheless. And Team 2 starting to make a cut across the center of the map through the northeast. But these units are still trickling in, and it's constantly not reforming, but realigning the front line here for Team 2. Gives Team 1 the opportunity to keep pushing forward. ASFs fly over the top here against Team 1. I don't really know why. A couple of interceptors as well. Maybe they want to go for an airlock possibly, or go after some strat bombers that might have been built. I don't really know. They're going after some landed cormorants as well. I don't really see that move being that important. I mean, yeah, you'll take out a couple of torpedo bombers, but you're losing the Navy game, and you want to get that back quickly, because once that's gone, I mean, the main base here for Ferv, the secondary main base here for the secondary base, the main base here for Esmo, and of course the main base here for Salter is under threat. Pretty much, like I said earlier in the game, if whatever team wins Navy will pretty much decide the game. And we're at 18 minutes. 1 person has died. Was the highest ranked player in the game. Kind of, I'd say, a little more far forward than he probably should have been. But we have some cruisers. They have a lot of direct fire weapons on those boats, and they can do a decent amount to destroyers, as seen right there. Not as powerful as destroyers, but can do a decent amount of damage themselves. Engineers trying to reclaim on the move, assisting the comm as he moves as well. Team 1 getting a better end of the deal with reclaim. They push forward, they reclaim whatever's below them, and they keep pushing forward. Well, in this case, southward, because in our viewing direction, forward to them is south, and Team 2's forward is north. So it's a little visually confusing there, but of course they're moving southward to push forward. Constantly trying to just get in and take out this facility was probably the target. But now there's even more destroyers here built up here for Team 2's player of Ismo. And Ismo Noob will hold out for a time being. Is Team 1 trying to counter that with, I don't know, maybe some, I see some cruisers here from the Seraphim player of Nasimka. Don't see any effort to maybe go T3. I feel like T3 is a little early. Yeah, I don't see anybody going T3 right now. Probably next 10 minutes or so, we'll see some destroyers or Neptunes if you are the UEF player of Salter and Ferv. But a group of destroyers here to the west here from Belleron, and it is outnumbered quite decently, and it will be forced to retreat. There were a decent amount of boats taken out here in this little underwater cove, sunken hole, whatever the heck you want to call this. But in the east, still constantly being pressured here. Again, Ferv just not really making much of an impact in the naval gun, but a strat bomber takes out a destroyer. Unfortunately, that was taken out by those cruisers and assisting AA. And so now Team 1 pretty much trying to lock out Team 2's player Ferv in the air game to the east. That's a lot of AA. Doesn't really move a whole lot and is kind of slow, but, you know, anything's better than nothing. Destroyers assisting the cruisers in forcing back the naval boats here for Team 2. But there's not that many destroyers left here, and once they're gone, these cruisers and destroyers can come in and deal with this. There's one boat here to the east here for Ferv. There's no torpedo launches except for this destroyer, and that kills that S1, the T1 submarine fairly quickly. But it does look like that facility is under threat, losing its hit points quite quickly to those missiles, and even the missiles on the other side of the map here, going over this little kind of upper plateau area. Kind of surprised that Team 2 hasn't maybe built some artillery to kind of stave off this threat, but now Ferv is completely knocked out of the water on the eastern side. Same cannot be said for the west here. We still have a lot of destroyers and cruisers here for Belleron. And in the middle, actually a lot of the units for Team 1 have pretty much dissipated. Maybe they're holding off for something. No, they're still building destroyers. I don't see any move for T3 as of yet. I did say it probably would be another 5 to 10 minutes at the like 18 or so minute mark. So maybe we'll see something. But the only positive thing for Team 1 in the Navy is this eastern side. It takes out a transport that was landed, Ferv, and a mass extractor. But Ferv just kind of sitting underneath the shield cover. Shield cover's holding for now. Building T3 ASFs as we speak. And then we'll build a strat bomber right after a couple of them. Trying to build up some buzzkill to help deter any incoming missile fire. But of course, it's not just missile fire. It is plasma fire as well. That T3 reactor is under threat. The shield needs to come online right quick. It will not matter. Trying to build a secondary shield does get up pretty quickly, and this will help stave off any incoming threat. It does take out 2 of the missile launchers, missile defenses though, but those will be built fairly quickly, so it won't really matter. So this threat was pretty much dealt with and held off enough support for Ferv to bring in some destroyers and deal with this. But it does look like the Exodus class destroyer will beat out the 2 Salems. The frigates are assisting a decent amount in this game with this push over here to the east, and so it just goes to show you that just because the opponent has the tech advantage in terms of units does not mean that you can't, you know, do a lot with inferior T1 units. But a lot of those torpedoes will be dealt with by the torpedo defenses. It will drop it into the red, but it does have a point of veterancy, so it will allow for those hit points to slowly regen. Those look like Belleron was able to shove off his opponents here to the south and able to give him a little bit of breathing room. He is, of course, at T2. It hasn't gone T3 as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody has to go T3 at some point. Maybe Nasimka would be the first one to go T3, or even maybe Dilly Dally. Still nothing here for Team 1. Team 2 needs to make a big move. Really reclaim this game for themselves. In terms of eco, they are leading by about 40 or so mass a second, and in total mass accrued, Team 2 is winning by about 10,000 or so mass. So it's not like they're behind entirely in this game, but they are suffering in terms of map control as of right now. They are starting to push back in that realm though, but it doesn't look like they're going to get there fairly quickly with more forces to the east here for Per Aspera. Just, oh, nope, decides to go somewhere else and is actually moving his T3 sonar platform as well. These things have a wide range. You really don't need to move them. You can see that's the main circle, but it's hard to tell that there is actually an additional circle around this map. It's just because it's a 10 by 10, you can't really see it. And there's no way that a T3 sonar platform only covers this amount of range. So I wish it would like kind of come to one edge or maybe the middle just to see the circles for the ranges for different things. But units are starting to push forward in this little cove area against Team 2. We're having some movement here from multiple factions and players here. To the west, a bunch of direct fire weapons here for Nasimka will deal a lot of damage to these projectile weapon boats here for the UEF player of Salter. Salter kind of, I mean, he's coming back. It's like an ebb and flow. Like, you know, he has a good run and then it doesn't really go well. Then he has a good run and then it doesn't really go well. But he needs more bulwarks. That's one thing I can tell you. He needs those, because without those, he will not survive long enough with the oppressing firepower of Team 1. And they're not focusing on him. They mainly focused on D, and D's now taken out. Now it's just Ferv on that eastern side. So maybe Team 1's goal is to kind of cut the enemy in half, pretty much focus them to the west and the east. Pretty much we have Peraspera focusing on the eastern side, and Dilly Dally, Nasimka, and Valerone focusing on the west side. And you can see the amount of pressure because of that coordinated push has forced these units into this little cove. And I don't know what the heck to call this in what, a channel, more of a channel area. And it'll force them into a tight-knit environment for a lot of the projectile weapons from the Aeon, and of course the direct fire weapons to focus a lot more effectively. But units here from Izmo will push them back even further, but it doesn't look like it's enough. There's not enough destroyers. They're out of range of the shield bolt. The bulwark didn't move with it, and that's going to hurt a lot of these destroyers. Izmo needs to maybe request Salt to build a couple more of them just to kind of maybe cover his units, because that's the only naval-based shield unit in the game is the bulwark shield boat, and that's for the UEF alone. So I feel like use your tech advantage, or sorry, use your faction advantage and build more of those just to help deal with some incoming fire. They are cheap. I think they're cheaper now. I forget which update it was, but they've been made a little bit cheaper. And the regen on those shields is fairly quickly, 80 hit points a second. You can see how fast that thing goes up. But all those direct fire weapons for the Seraphim deal lots of damage. They can't miss pretty much. That's the advantage. They don't fire continuously like other projectile weapons do, but the amount of just direct fire is insane. Team 2 needs some direct fire weapons, and that would be from the UEF faction. We have a couple of strap bombers here to the east. I mean, ASF's Team 2 does have air control, but they're not using it like they should. They should be building a bunch of, you know, torpedo bombers, or even maybe, you know, more strat bombers or gunships or something. But bombers go over the top, deal with a couple of the P-gens here for Peraspera. Peraspera, how's power going? Well, it's not going very well. So he's negative in power. They're going to drop another bomb here to the east, probably go after some mass extractors or AA. They're going to go after AA and mass extractors to get a 2-for-1 special there. And there's still, a back and forth in the middle where Team 1 has control, then Team 2 has control, then Team 1 has control. The comm of Dilly Dally fairly far forward, being a little bit risky, but he has a 3-star comm. He has nano repair, so 96 hit points a second. That's probably where D went wrong. He probably should have built that nano repair to help assist with the regen, be a little more tanky. But to the west, a bunch of destroyers, a lot of them severely weakened, but more shields here from these asylums. The floating shields for the Aeon, very effective in the naval combat. If you play as the Aeon, you got to be using those asylums. Even though they're not a specific naval unit, they're just really effective. And they have 3,500 shield versus the bulwark at 55. And I think the asylums are still cheaper than the bulwark in general. You would assume. But I could be wrong on the numbers off the top of my head. But now the units are stuck. They're going to completely run into the units here for Team 2. The destroyers will be caught out. I don't know if unawares or not, but they did take out some infrastructure here for Salter. And now it just looks like it's just a mop-up opportunity here for Team 2. Unfortunately, because of the movement of these destroyers and units here for Team 2, they've weakened their center line. But they want to take out these destroyers. They're trying to get away. They're trying to hide in the corners of these little coves. But it just does not matter. We have even some missiles here from Nasimka. We have the first battleship online here for Team 1, though. It is the Athum, the tactical nuke-based, not sub, but tactical nuke-based battleship. They don't need a Plan B or other strategic missile submarines because they have the battleship, and it can hold 5 instead of the traditional 3 that the subs can hold. And now the destroyers will target this upper peninsula, upper plateau area. The engineers are trying to hold the shield. I don't really know why. I mean, there's a missile launcher here, but it's only one of them. It can be easily countered by some TMD. Not really worth it. But the first one to gain battleships, of course, is Team 1, and they're going to use that to great degree. They have a large field of influence. You can see the red circle is the max range on those guns. And a lot of the facilities are fairly close to that max range. Galaxy-class battleship has emerged for Team 2. We even saw a Neptune here to the west here for Team 2's player Assaulter, so going for direct fire weapons like I mentioned earlier. But is it going to be enough? We're at 30 minutes. One battleship versus 2 in the middle with a bunch of destroyers. It's not really going their way in terms of Team 2. The Neptune is fairly effective, but it needs to get closer to the units against Team 1, and it's starting to just skim the edge. The eastern side still hasn't been rebuilt here for FAF. He's just ignoring it at this point, trying to pump everything he has into, I guess, air, which, I mean, is important, of course, in a naval game. But he needs naval units. His teammates are not really. They don't have enough firepower behind them. And now there's a third battleship plus a bunch of cruisers and destroyers in the middle, and of course Dilly Dally as well. Other he can do a whole lot of damage, but now he's still a 3-star comm, fully wrapped up. He's almost actually a 4-star. Just needs, I think, one more kill to call it good. The Neptune, trying to take out that battleship, does have a decent amount of firepower on it, though, and another one appears as well. If these 3 units can focus on one battleship at a time, they can probably deal with this western side at least. But more boats constantly strewing in here for Team 1, trying to go after this T2 facility for FAF. They're trying to knock out FAF's ability to combat the Navy, and he will lose it. But now it's only 2 more players on Team 2 that have naval facilities online. Dilly Dally trying to retreat, and he will. There's not a lot of torpedoes coming in at him at the current moment. And at 102 hit points a second, it doesn't really matter. But now even more destroyers and battleships for Team 1's player of Valeron has an Omen. We have an Omen and a Hathum. We should see a Galaxy at some point maybe here from Team 1. There's a T3 facility back here. It's built a... Oh, just a cruiser. That's what's kind of disappointing. I was hoping for a battleship or a missile ship, one of the two. But now, Team 1 exerting a lot of pressure here in the Navy. 3 battleships versus 4 now. Actually, I guess 4 for the one on the west. But there's another one back here, so 5. So it does look like that both teams are focusing a little bit on just building up a bunch of battleships. And now units here in this little cove are targeting the secondary base that once belonged to D. And now Salems have appeared on the land. There's some of these broadswords brought in to deal with them. There's not really any. There's a little bit of AA, but not a whole lot. And this will not be enough to deal with the battleships. There's even some cruisers brought in. This will have enough AA to deal with them. But I think all, if not one, of the Salems will still be online. Still trying to produce, I guess, cormorants as we speak here for FAF. FAF trying to build up something here to the east in terms of a air grid. But I don't think it's going to be enough. He needs something more. Maybe he builds a Novax. Maybe he builds a nuke launcher. Nuke launcher might actually be worth it. No one has an SMD on either side of the map at 34 minutes. No SMD. That's very strange. Maybe there was an agreement beforehand about no nukes. Maybe, but this is a ladder game, so I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, players could have talked about that beforehand. I don't know though. I don't think so. I feel like that's more of a custom game thing to do rather than a ladder game to do. But we now have 6 battleships. Not all of them actually in range to deal with the enemy battleships. You can see they sit slightly out of range of the other ones. This one especially back here can't even shoot it. He needs to get them a little bit more in the front line. There's a battleship in range to the west, though. Like, fully in range by all but, like, 2 of them. They could deal with that fairly quickly. Does have assisting shield support, but not. It's not going to do a whole lot against 6 battleships and a couple of battle cruisers. Even there's a Neptune here. Needs more bulwark shields, needs more shields. My opinion with shields doesn't change between land and naval-based combat. You think you have enough shields, need to build more. You know you have enough shields, build more. And if you don't have enough shields, build more. Doesn't matter what the answer, the question is, or the situation is. The answer is always build more shields. But it does look like the battleships are starting to fall back here for Team 1. A fresh one does pop online for Verlone. Yes. We have 4 more here for Nasimka. One of them was severely. Oh, that's the Omen that just died. But we should see. I was gonna say we should see more coming in from the northern player here. Another Omen appears here for Per Aspera, and still Dilly Dally only building T2. Maybe he's focusing on destroyer and cruiser production just to assist in dealing with kind of target saturation and AA support would be my guess. But battlecruisers coming very close to the main production yards. They're not moving close enough to open up their main cannons. And now the firepower from the Hathums are just punishing them because of that lack of vision. But there's 4 battleships right here. 2 of them have fallen. Actually, there's more. There's 4 of them have fallen per the dead bodies. The death clones, I guess, as you could call them. For I think this game calls them death clones. Different game. I know Empire War, Star Wars Empire War calls them death clones. Whenever a ship dies, you see that kind of effect with the ship falling apart or whatever. That's just, they call them a death clone. Because it's a clone of the ship that's now dead. So, hence death clone. But another, oh, that one's almost dead for a battle cruiser. This area right here is just being target, high value target level 1. Just so many battleships just sitting here, not moving. ASFs to deal with one bomber. That's not. Don't need to bring all of your ASF to do that. This eastern side is still vulnerable. There's a couple of AA emplacements, but not a lot. A couple of cruisers as well. The western side, there's pretty much no AA. A couple of flak units, but that's it. And bringing gunships to a cruiser fight, not really the best idea. They're not designed to take out gunships, but they work very heavily against gunships. And now we have engineers being used as cannon fodder and distractions for the battleships here for Nasimka to just pummel the galaxies. And look at all the dead boats. Look at all the dead boats. There's so many dead boats. Oh, it's just sad to see all the dead boats. I love naval combat. It's just sad to see all the dead boats. In terms of reclaim, currently we have only 90,000. I kind of expected more. But a lot of it does reside on Team 2 side of things. And you can just see, a lot of the reclaim, at least on the northern team, if dead boats did, occur, were scooped up. And on Team 2 side of things, the reclaim is not as strong. And because of that, you can just see where all of them died. It's just hard to see that this eastern plateau will officially be taken out by Team 2. So that's been held by Team 1 pretty much for the entire game, bar like the first introductory moments. But now these units are grouping up in the cove. Not really the best idea. Target saturation and, of course, a smaller area for the opponent to launch attacks means more than likely the shots will land. So if you're going to do that for protections, you need more bulwarks. You can't have just one. You need like 5. And even then you still need more. But an Omen class here, 4 per Aspera, will come onto the beachside property here for Team 2, and we'll start laying waste to everything in its view. It's not looking good for Team 2. They had an advantage, not early, not early, but later on, where Team 1 was suffering in terms of battleship numbers. But it's just not enough. The battleships are focusing on the battleships, and I guess that's, to be fair, that's kind of what you want to target. But these battleships are focusing on the Omen, while we have 2 battleships to the east here for Nasimka that could be perfectly taken out by these. I think at least 4 minimum. And we have 4 more up here. We have 6 here for Nasimka and 2 here for Valone, and then 1 distracting one to the east here for Prospera. And now we have Dilly Dally has built his own Galaxy class, and now we just have so many battleships. It's not enough for Team 2 to hold out. They need some sort of trump card like a nuke or something to defer a lot of this damage. You could put it like right maybe here and take out at least 4, if not all. Like it's 5. That one just died. But nukes would definitely have benefited Team 2 in this scenario. And even Team 1, I mean, you nuke right here. That's a lot of boats that are dead. And there's a secondary bulwark, so good to see that another one was built. A Galaxy just walked out of the shield and died. The target saturation from all of these engineers just kind of not confusing the targeting sensors here for the opponents, but it just means that they have to have better micro. But T3 solaces the torpedo bombers for the Aeon specifically. They're the only ones to get T3 torpedo bombers there. Deal lots and lots of damage, and they take out that Galaxy as well. Only 4 summits remain and 1 Galaxy, another one coming off the line. You can just see the slow encroach of Team 1's naval forces. Will they take out this Omen to the east? There's a couple of torpedoes coming back in to assist. Air Scouts have no guns on them, so it doesn't really do anything. But torpedoes are away, plasmas away from the broadswords. They will take out this Omen, but is it enough, though? The western side is suffering severely. A lot of AA coverage, of course. We have engineers all the time reclaiming, and just look at all these boats that are just, look at all those dead boats. Look at them all. That's so many dead boats. Oh, that's so disappointing to see. So disappointing to see. Apologize for the jerking of the camera. But just look at all the dead boats. Just there's so many, and another one dies. No, there's so many dead boats. Bulwarks are not being targeted. Now he's building more bulwarks. But Cormorants come in, target the lead summit. It's taking lots of fire. Cormorants coming in will be shot at by some AA, at least maybe on some ships or something. The shield boat does recharge its shield, but it doesn't matter. All that incoming damage, and they'll take out this summit fairly quickly. I'm just going to do a little casting without the icons or the little scoreboard here. We have missiles raining in on this position for Fur. Pretty much Team 1's main base has not really been attacked all game. A lot of the infrastructure, I guess this eastern side was attacked a little bit, but I mean, not a whole lot. A lot of the action has been the water, and that is the deciding factor in this game. Yeah, you can have air presence, but it doesn't really mean anything if you can't hold your navy to hold back. It does look like still constantly trying to go after all of the Galaxy classes, and we see a contingent of these gunships here for Team 2's player Ferv. There's a lot of AA nearby. Broadswords open fire. Will they even get one of the battleships? They kill one of them. Maybe it was helping build a missile. But the second one will be targeted. It probably might die. There is more AA coming in all the time. There's even some Cormorants. Not Cormorants, what are these? Corsairs. I think those are yeah, those are Corsairs. Oh no, those are ASF. I think those are ASF. Those AS, they kind of look like Corsairs. But, oh, now, yeah, they took out 2 battleships. It's not enough, though. I feel like the missile ship's still online to the east. Summit needs to keep moving. The missiles are fairly strong. Ferv did get back into the Navy on the eastern side and spammed up a T3 facility. So maybe Team 2 has a chance to get back in the Navy game, but look at this pressure. They're constantly building land factories, naval facilities forward and further to produce frigates, to produce engineers, to scoop up more and more mass. Units here of 4 Salter are just stuck here in this cove. They can't really get out of it. The Galaxy classes here just have a small window of maneuvering. Shields constantly being built here to protect the naval facilities. It's just not really going to work. And, of course, the hives to build those units as well. The amount of the amount of battleships is starting to decline here for Team 1. There's only 2 more here. There's 2 more over here, so that's 4. Another one coming off the line, which is 5. I guess 2 more here, which is 7. And a missile ship, which is, I guess, is 8 and 9. We have 5 here to the west. Another 6 one back here. 2 more to the middle. But, I mean, Team 2 is coming back in terms of, overall prowess. But all they have is battleships. Team 1 has frigates. They have missile ships. They have the cruisers. They have, engineers just scooping up a bunch of mass. Those look like a Monkey Lord does come back in. The laser pops out of the water just enough to take out the missile ship. Its little head is just barely over the water there. Torpedo bomb is raining in on it all the time. It will probably die to a couple more runs going after naval facilities. Takes out 2 of them. That isn't the headquarters though, so I don't think it really matters. ASF protection nearby. He might actually get this to land. Oh, this is going to hurt. But we have some T1 PD that might not get as far as he would like. Monkey Lord gets onto land. The guns open up. Targeting the P-Gen. They kill all the PD though. That's going to help. At 5,000, 4,000 hit points. Got to keep moving. There's a missile constantly raining down on it. Taking out the second P-Gen. Takes out that entire air grid besides the T3 headquarters. Team 2 is still suffering in the Navy, though. They take out this facility. This base to the east is pretty much wiped out. But pretty much all of the summits and Galaxy classes are wiped out here for Team 2. So Team 2 comes back in with a vengeance with the Monkey Lord repping up hit points 110 per second. Got to keep moving. Those missiles are raining in all the time, of course. Move east. Take out the comm. Take out the facility. This would be a huge grab if that Monkey Lord could get it. And it starts moving in that direction, of course, as I make a comment about it. There's another Monkey Lord to the west, but there's so many more torpedo launchers constantly trying to deal with these units in the water. That's not a low push. They're just lasering the units just barely, but it will die. Only gets 1. Actually gets a couple of them, I think. But I don't think it'll really matter, though, unfortunately. Yeah, they bought some time. The Monkey Lord to the west. Captain Sneaks. Perf calls him. The comm is on the water. The comm is in the water. It's on land. You could kill the comm. But its head cannot stick out large enough. It's taken out a couple of engineers. It's going after the facility. Is it stuck? Oh, if it's stuck, I don't know what's going on. And there's just a torpedo bomber just flying over. Torpedoes raining in all the time. I think this last pass will kill it off. The Navy game not really going Team 2's way now. They've lost pretty much everything. Overwhelming firepower here from Team 1. More and more battleships being thrust on the front lines. Another battleship. And now Captain Sneak got reclaimed. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Had he just known that the comm was there, he might have gotten a kill. But that has gotta hurt. And now there's really nothing here in this bay. Even more dead boats. Look at all the dead boats. Look at them all. There's 3 over here. There's so many battleships just got annihilated in this game. Battle cruisers and battleships. I'm not going to forget the battle cruiser Neptunes. The summit to the east just outnumbered 2-1, even 3-1 if you call that one. Well, I guess it's 2-2, but if the shots miss all the time, it's not really 2-1. Or sorry, 2-2. But a bunch of torpedo bombers come in. They deal with the last remaining battleships. They see a unit in the water. They think it's the comm. Salter fairly far forward. Can't get out of the water in time. This will be another kill here for Team 1. Drops this game to a 4v2. Gives everything over to, I think that'd be Ferv. But the overwhelming naval pressure is just choking Team 2. The facility has been taken out for Esmo. He does have a T3 strategic missile submarine, the Plan B, but can't build it fast enough, and it does look like Ferv's team will recall. I mean, given the overwhelming pressure here by Team 1, I mean, you had boats here in the main production facility here for Salter. The E3 headquarters was killed off for Ismo. You still had the one over here for Ferv, but it just wasn't enough. Was Team 1 building anything else in the back line? They had their own nuke launcher with a nuke loaded, so they could have even used that. So, and there's a second one up here, so Team 1 building nukes. I mean, they didn't really need it, but they're like, oh, why not? You know, why not? That's we'll have it and see what happens, kind of thing. But yeah, pretty much with the death of Salter, that pretty much triggered the evacuation order for Team 2. That is going to end it there, folks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the Naval game here. It's been a lot of land games lately, so hopefully nice little break and focus a lot more on Naval combat. Please like and comment down below what your favorite moment of the cast was. And of course, if you've been watching my videos or this is the first time watching your video and you have been enjoying them, and if you haven't hit that red button below the video, I encourage you to do so. I put out one of these videos every single day. And so look forward to the next one. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. And I will see all of you wonderful people, amazing people, including and especially you in the next one.